We've got our first photos of Selena in her wedding dress, and she looks so, so beautiful. What a dress. We have photos of her and Benny as well. It's so clear that Benny is just like absolutely mesmerized by her and that she's found her man. Like she's finally found the one that she's gonna settle down with.
There was a time when Selena Gomez wasn't sure she would live to see her 30s. A time when cameras weren't flashing on red carpets, but instead capturing quiet moments outside a hospital. As the world speculated about her health and future, lupus, the autoimmune disease that almost ended her life, left her in need of a kidney transplant, a gift that came from her best friend Francia Raisa. For months, doctors couldn't promise she'd return to full strength. Fast forward just a few years. And that same woman who once whispered prayers for survival has now staged a celebration so extravagant that even Hollywood veterans are stunned. In Santa Barbara, under the California sun, Selena Gomez married Benny Blanco in what insiders are calling the most expensive celebrity wedding in modern memory. The price tag? An estimated $25 million. But for Selena, this wasn't only about luxury, it was about transformation. A statement to the world that she is no longer defined by illness or survival, but by choice, power, and love. The symbolism was impossible to ignore, from patient to mogul, from fragile to fearless. The venue alone set the tone. Rather than settling for a private hall or coastal mansion, Selena reserved the entire Encanto Hotel, a historic sanctuary overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Once a hideaway for Golden Age film stars, it now became the fortress of a global superstar determined to script her own legacy. Renting out every suite, every villa, every inch of the property for 3 days reportedly cost well over $300. Ling ling ling, transforming the hotel into a dreamscape exclusively for her guests. And guests weren't simply housed, they were indulged. Presidential suites priced at $15,000 a night. A private beach with staff on call. Helicopter access for high-profile arrivals, nothing was spared. Even the hotel's Michelin-starred chef was put under contract, preparing meals that would rival the most prestigious state banquets. If the location was legendary, the bride's fortune made it possible. Selena Gomez, once known as a Disney child star, has quietly built an empire worth more than $700 million. Between acting, music, endorsements, and her billion-dollar cosmetics line, Rare Beauty, she now earns more in a month than most executives make in a decade. For her, a $25 million wedding wasn't reckless, it was personal. "This is my dream," she reportedly told those questioning the price, "and I'll make it real myself." Oh, her partner, Benny Blanco, brings his own weight to the equation. Though his net worth is far smaller, around $50 million, his role in shaping modern pop music cannot be overstated. He has written or produced songs that generated hundreds of millions in revenue, collaborating with stars like Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber, and Rihanna. He isn't marrying into wealth, he's marrying as a peer who knows what it means to create hits that last. But even with both their fortunes combined, what struck observers most wasn't just how much was spent, it was how meticulously it was designed. Selena approved nearly every detail herself, working alongside celebrity planner Mindy Weiss for 12 months of preparations. From flowers shipped in from Ecuador to imported marble for the altar, every element whispered perfection. During rehearsals, those closest to her say Selena broke down in tears, not because of stress, but because of the overwhelming contrast. Once she feared she would never walk down an aisle at all. Now she was stepping into a moment she designed with complete control. Surrounded by wealth, friends, and the man she loved, Hollywood has seen expensive weddings before. From royal-inspired spectacles to Vegas extravaganzas. But what makes Selena Gomez's union stand out is the deeper narrative beneath the numbers. It isn't only about $25 million spent, it's about a woman who refused to let illness dictate her destiny and instead chose to craft a story the entire world couldn't stop watching. And that story was just beginning. Because after the tears and the vows came the spectacle of who showed up, how they arrived, and how far Selena went to ensure this day would be remembered for decades. When news broke that Selena Gomez would wed in Santa Barbara, Hollywood insiders knew the guest list wouldn't just sparkle, it would blind. And they were right. What unfolded looked less like a wedding roster and more like the credits of a blockbuster film. Front and center was Taylor Swift, Selena's closest confidante for more than a decade. Touching down in her custom Boeing jet, an aircraft valued at $65 million, her flight alone reportedly cost close to $200. Ling ling ling. And a small fortune for most people, but just another Tuesday for the world's highest-earning pop star. Taylor's arrival signaled what everyone already suspected. This wasn't a wedding. It was an event that demanded a front row from music's most powerful. Then came the procession of celebrities that turned Santa Barbara's skies into a VIP highway. Jennifer Aniston interrupted her European holiday to fly in. Vanessa Hudgens and Camila Cabello arrived with designer trunks in tow. Francia Heise, the woman whose kidney saved Selena's life, was seated among the most honored guests, and producers whispered that even unexpected names like DJ Marshmello, who later delivered a surprise, $300 000 set, were present to keep the night alive. In total, the combined net worth of attendees exceeded $5 billion. For a single evening, the Encanto Hotel was the beating heart of global entertainment wealth. But even billionaires don't travel light. And this was no ordinary check-in. Each guest was welcomed with a personalized package worth $15. Ling ling ling. Inside, custom Cartier jewelry engraved with Selena and Benny's initials, exclusive Hermes items unavailable in any store, luxury spa vouchers, and curated keepsakes meant to immortalize the weekend. Multiply by dozens of guests. And Selena's generosity quickly added up to $2. $2 million in gifts alone. Still, with a crowd like this, security was more than just precaution, it was necessity. The measures taken rivaled those of a presidential inauguration. The entire perimeter of the hotel was locked down by 50 elite guards working rotating shifts. Rooftops weren't simply decorated with flowers, they were patrolled by trained snipers scanning for threats. Divers swept the coastline, ensuring that no curious drone or paparazzi boat got too close. A no-fly zone was enforced over the airspace, reportedly costing $75 000 for clearance. And it wasn't just outsiders kept at bay. Every vendor from florists to kitchen staff was required to undergo federal-level background checks weeks in advance. Catering crews had to submit to fingerprinting. Security scanners were disguised as elegant decor arches so guests could pass through without feeling like they were at an airport. Even the champagne servers wore discreet earpieces. Blending service with surveillance. When asked why such extreme steps were necessary, one insider put it simply: if one photo leaked, it would be worth millions. That's what we were protecting. But extravagance didn't end with protection. The wedding fashion alone could have headlined Vogue without the ceremony. Selena walked the aisle in a Valentino gown that took 8 months to complete, before changing into 2 more designer pieces throughout the evening. Each was valued at 6 figures. But the true star was the Tiffany & Co. engagement ring. A breathtaking 8-carat diamond estimated at up to $3 million at Benny's platinum band. Though far more modest at $150, ling ling ling, glistened just as proudly. Even dessert was treated like art. The wedding cake, a towering creation crafted by one of New York's most acclaimed pastry chefs, was infused with edible diamonds, 24 karat gold, and rare vanilla beans shipped in from Madagascar. Its cost? A cool $200? Ling ling ling. By the end of the second night, it was clear that Selena's wedding wasn't just about two people joining their lives. It was about sending a message to an industry that had once doubted her resilience. Selena Gomez wasn't only back, she was untouchable. And yet, the most talked about moment of the celebration was still to come. Because behind all the sparkle and champagne, Selena was preparing to make a declaration that would flip the narrative on its head. By the time vows were exchanged under the Pacific sky, most guests assumed the peak of extravagance had passed. They were wrong. What came after the "I do" made even Hollywood veterans whisper that they had never seen anything like it. As twilight settled over Santa Barbara, the coastline erupted in light. A custom fireworks show worth $150, 000, thundered above the ocean. Choreographed to music, written specifically for the couple, but the pyrotechnics were only a prelude. Moments later, the stage revealed a surprise that had been kept secret from even the closest friends, John Legend. The Grammy-winning icon delivered a private set so intimate and emotional that several guests admitted to crying. His performance, valued at $2 million, transformed the night from glamorous into legendary. And this wasn't the only act. Insiders revealed Selena had secured a second private concert worth up to $5 million, treating her guests to a full-scale production no arena crowd would ever see. Between Legend's velvet voice and the fireworks cascading over the ocean, the wedding began to feel less like a party and more like a feature film. That cinematic feeling wasn't an accident. Selena had struck deals with the world's biggest media outlets. Vogue secured exclusive fashion rights to the photographs, a deal estimated between $5 and $10 million. Meanwhile, streaming giants reportedly entered a bidding war, and with whispers that Netflix offered over $40 million for documentary-style coverage of the wedding weekend. For a woman who had turned her Instagram into a billion-dollar marketing engine, it was a masterstroke. Her wedding wasn't just a personal milestone. It was content with global reach. But just as critics were sharpening their knives, questioning the morality of spending $25 million on one weekend, Selena revealed her ace in a moment no one saw coming. She announced that all profits from photo and video rights would be donated to lupus research and children's hospitals. The announcement shifted the atmosphere instantly. Guests who had been marveling at the luxury now applauded the generosity. Online, skeptics who complained about excess were forced to recalibrate. Selena had turned her wedding into both a love story and a charitable engine. What began as a headline about opulence was now reframed as a story of giving back. Still, the details of extravagance remained jaw-dropping. Catering included wines from Napoleon Bonaparte's personal collection. Bottles valued at $15, 000 each. Over 800 bottles of champagne were uncorked throughout the weekend, including vintages from the late 1800s. Guests dined on Wagyu beef, truffles, and caviar flown in from 3 continents. One Hollywood executive quipped, "This isn't a menu. It's a museum of taste." Floral arrangements, refreshed 5 times across the weekend, who ensured that no camera ever captured a wilted petal. The centerpiece? Rare Japanese cherry blossoms that bloom for only 3 days each year, flown across the Pacific in refrigerated crates to make a fleeting appearance. And yet, for all the luxury, the moment people remembered most wasn't the price tags. It was the sight of Selena, in her second gown, whispering to Benny as John Legend sang "All of Me Just for Them." A woman once confined to a hospital bed was now hosting an event worth more than small film productions and still found a way to channel it toward charity. By the end of the second night, one truth was clear. Selena Gomez hadn't just set a new bar for celebrity weddings. She had transformed hers into a platform for survival, love, and global impact. But even with fireworks, couture gowns, and million-dollar media deals, one final chapter remained. Because once the guests thought they had seen everything, Selena and Benny unveiled plans for a honeymoon that rivaled the wedding itself in scale and reminded Hollywood that this story was far from over. For most couples, the honeymoon is a quiet escape, or a chance to recover after months of planning. For Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco, it was the continuation of a spectacle. As the last guests checked out of the El Encanto, the newlyweds boarded a private Mediterranean super yacht that seemed pulled straight from a James Bond film. The 3-week journey cost an estimated $4.8 million. But this was no ordinary vessel. With a personal submarine for underwater exploration, a helipad, a private cinema, and a recording studio where Benny could keep producing music, the yacht was a floating kingdom. 35 staff members attended to every need, ensuring the couple never lifted a finger. Insiders whispered that the billionaire owner of the yacht had lent it out as a gesture of friendship, making the experience priceless in more ways than one. And yet, even while sailing across the Mediterranean, Selena's empire kept working. Rare Beauty launched a limited edition wedding collection inspired by her bridal looks. The product sold out in under 2 hours, generating a staggering $35 million in sales. At the same time, her carefully curated wedding posts dominated Instagram, translating into another $20 plus million in brand value and sponsored content revenue. In essence, Selena's wedding wasn't just a personal celebration. It was also a business case study how to turn a life event into global marketing gold. But with record-breaking headlines came criticism. Environmental activists were quick to point out the massive carbon footprint of dozens of private jets, imported flowers, and fireworks displays. One viral post calculated that the emissions from the wedding equaled 50 years of eco-conscious living for the average person. Selena's team anticipated the backlash. Days after the wedding, they announced that the couple had purchased $2 million worth of carbon offsets and pledged to plant 75,000 trees across 3 continents. What could have been a PR disaster was reframed as another example of Selena blending extravagance with responsibility. Meanwhile, Santa Barbara itself was transformed by the event. Local businesses from restaurants to luxury car services reported record-breaking weekends. City officials estimated that the celebration pumped more than $15 million into the local economy and temporarily employed over 300 residents. For many in the coastal town, Selena's fairy tale also meant a real financial boost. Then there was the question of legacy. Industry insiders quickly labeled the wedding a new benchmark in celebrity culture, with costs per guest reportedly exceeding $150. Ling ling ling. Experts predict future stars will struggle to match the scale, not just because of the money, but because of the way Selena fused survival, philanthropy, and spectacle into one story. And in the middle of it all was the bride herself. At 32, Selena Gomez had come full circle, from child star to global mogul, from patient to philanthropist, from a young woman once unsure of her future to a bride whose wedding became a global media event. Her #number Selena wedding became the most used wedding hashtag in social media history within 48 hours, cementing her place as not just an entertainer, but a cultural force. Critics will continue to debate whether spending $25 million on a wedding is indulgence or empowerment. But for fans, one truth resonated louder than any criticism. This wasn't just about diamonds and fireworks. It was about a woman who defied her odds, built her empire, and then chose to celebrate love on her own terms. Selena Gomez's wedding wasn't just a headline. It was a declaration, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful stories are written not in survival, but in the triumph that comes after